Kermit Holt joins us, and he joins us here on Author's Corner. The book we're going to talk about is Poetry at Its Best, Volume 2, the Paraphrase of the New Testament. And we'll talk about a couple other things around that, too, as well. So thanks for coming on America tonight here on AC with me, Kate Delaney. Kermit, it's good to have you on.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be with you.
First of all, let's go to your poetry. What started you being able to be so, I think, blessed? Because when you're gifted with poetry of any sort and you can write and express that way, I think it's so powerful, and especially what you've done with it. Did you always have an interest in poetry?
I was in junior college when I wrote my first one, and my mother and brother weren't too receptive of it, so I didn't write anymore for a while. But then I started again, and I feel like it's a gift from God, and I feel like sometimes the poems are just already written, and I just copy them down for him.
So that goes along with the paraphrase of the New Testament. What was it like going through the New Testament and looking at translating it to poetry?
I just took it like it was and let the Lord lead me. It's a little difficult sometimes when you write a paraphrase, because you feel like you have to include every detail, which sometimes doesn't make it smooth reading. But I have recently started one that's called Through the Bible in Bible Stories, and take each little segment from the Bible and put it in a Bible story, which reads a little smoother.
Well, so like, in other words, taking like Noah or Moses or all those stories and doing it that way in this next one you're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Each little segment of the Bible I take and make a little story of it, and then I go on to the next one. So it's just a series of stories, and that way I don't feel like I have to include every name
right
in the genealogies and so forth.
Right. And you did, in your book, you do that. You lead us through that. So if somebody's confused, there's a way to figure that out. And you definitely have a gift for bringing some clarity to biblical passages. So, I'm wondering, and I'm sure the listeners are too, how long did it take you to do this?
Oh, it's hard to say. I figure probably if I sat down and tried and did it consistently, it would take me about a year. But this one was kind of written when I didn't have anything else to write on, so I'd go to do it. So it actually took several years, but it's probably I could do it in about a year.
Yeah. So it's interesting. For people who read it, and of course, I want to go back to Volume 1. Tell us first about, before we go back to Volume 2, tell us about the very first Volume 1 and doing that.
Well, Volume 1 through 3, I haven't done the last two. They will be following sometime in the near future, but they were just, when I retired, I picked up poems that I had stacked up, handwritten ones and so forth, and just assimilated them into a book and made Volume 1, and then I made 2 more volumes similar to it. That's before I started doing specific poems like the New. I first wrote the Old Testament, and then I did the New Testament, and I've done some books like Pastor's Guidebooks. It's all in poetry and specific topics. One was on the characters of the Bible. I did every character of the Bible either in first person or third person, and included them in the book.
Wow, first or third person, when you think of all the characters in the Bible, off the top of my head, I can't even tell you how many that is. That's a lot. Right?
Yes, it is. Wow. It's a pretty thick book, too.
Wow. I mean, you could go all the way back, Adam and Eve, and then you go all the way through, and that is definitely a lot. So when people read your poetry, and if we talk about the paraphrase of the New Testament, what do you hope they take out of it?
just hope God blesses them through this method, because there's so many other interpretations and so forth, that this is just, it speaks to a certain group of people. Poetry is loved by some and not so much by others.
Yeah.
But I just hope the Lord blesses them through it.
Yeah. Oh, that's a wonderful, wonderful thought. And I think that if maybe, if people, because everybody has a different way of looking at the Bible, the Old Testament and the New Testament, and as you did, the characters, all of that, and the stories, which is wonderful to even go through in a lot of different directions. For some people, it also brings it to you in a different way, that lyrical way of how that hits your ear and how it probably makes you feel. Even if you're super familiar with the teachings, I bet that's part of how it'll hit people, that they'll feel that it's maybe more accessible. Do you hope that too?
Right, I do, and I think that sometimes the rhyme scheme makes it easier to memorize.
Yeah. That's what I think too, because people, some people listening to us, if you go, you go to Bible study, or you're in a pew and you're listening from week to sermon to different sermon, and every year, you go through that. A lot of it though is not remembering. Like, you remember different aspects of it, but I think you're right. I think that by going through yours, it's like it's in a different way. It is kind of like a memorization thing too, as well. I don't know that you necessarily meant that way, but boy, it is easier, right?
Right. Yeah. I find it that way.
Yeah, definitely. For you, what was it like to put this together and to put really a lot of the things? You're a believer, and this is your heart and soul. What's it like to have that out in the world? What does that feel like?
Well, it feels great to me, although I'm not looking for any claim from it, because I'm 79 years old, and I just told my wife that our legacy, since we don't have children, is my poetry, and if I can get it out and God can use it to bless people, that's what I want.
Did you ever think that you would do this in your later years, when you think about the things that you've done in your life, as far as your career and your life with your wife? Did you ever think that you would use poetry in this way?
I didn't really think of it that way. I had saved some copies and thrown others away, so I don't know what I've thrown away and so forth, but I've collected up what I could get. Yeah. And put them in a book.
Sure. And what I like about the Poetry at its Best, the Paraphrase of the New Testament, is the cover, the trees, and the green, the green that just hits you, of the trees, and big and full. And tell me about that imagery and why you picked that.
So we had one tree on the first book, and so I thought, well, volume 2 ought to have 2 trees. So I just started it that direction.
Yeah. Well, you definitely bring a really unique and fresh voice to the study of the Bible, to the study of Christian teachings in general, and the struggle that people face, like you said, in trying to really grasp all of it. And we look forward to seeing what comes out in the future. And this definitely is a wonderful legacy for you. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
By the way, you can get Kermit's books. You can get these books, Poetry at its Best, Volume 1, all of it. You can get that on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, too, as well. Kermit, again, thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.